This is Biel's quick tour of another brain model, and we're going to look at the outside of the cerebrum quickly. The frontal lobe is here in the front. The temporal lobe is right here. The sulcus that separates right here, that is the lateral sulcus, all along there. Posteriorly, occipital lobe. Central sulcus right here. The central sulcus divides the frontal lobe from the parietal lobe. If I pick this up, clearly you can see the central sulcus here. The gyrus anterior to that right here, that is the precentral gyrus, and posterior to the central sulcus, this is the postcentral gyrus. This is the cerebellum from this perspective, and then you can see the brainstem. Let's flip this over. Okay, so from this view, get your bearings. This is your anterior or frontal lobe. Back here is your posterior or occipital lobe. Cerebellum is posterior. So if we start at the top here, if we start here, this is, again, the corpus callosum. It's a large commissure connecting the left and right cerebral hemispheres. This is the representation of the septum pellucidum, the membrane that separates the two lateral ventricles in the brain. The pink structure back here, and you can't see it very well, representing pineal gland. This round-looking structure here would be the thalamus, and the nipple-looking structure in the center of that would be interthalamic adhesion. There is an indentation right here that you have to hallucinate. That would be the third ventricle coming down. It's a space. Anterior, inferior to that, this triangular area right here, hypothalamus. Coming down off the hypothalamus is the stalk of the pituitary right here. That is the infundibulum. And obviously the pituitary gland right there looking like a lovely pinto bean. Anteriorly, right here, you can see the optic nerve. And where it's cut in the center right there, that is the optic chiasm. Chi is an X. Posterior to the infundibulum right here, we see the mammillary body. Now we're ready to look at the brainstem. This is the brainstem. There's three regions. Superiorly, here, you have the midbrain, including the posterior portion of the midbrain with these two bumps, the colliculi. That's collectively called the tectal plate. The tectal plate is the posterior portion of the midbrain. As you come down, the big bump in the front denotes the pons. That's the center portion of the midbrain. And inferior to that, this would be the medulla oblongata. If we look more closely, we can see that the space of the third ventricle, the cerebrospinal fluid, would drain down this canal right here, runs down kind of the posterior midbrain here. That is the cerebral aqueduct. In between the cerebellum here and the pons, there's a triangular shaped space right there, denoting the fourth ventricle. If you continue going inferiorly from there, the cerebrospinal fluid flows down the central canal of the spinal cord. If we look closely at the cerebellum, the little white matter, all of these tree-looking branches, that's the arbor vitae. That's the white matter of the cerebellum. And that is Biel's quick tour of the dog squeaky toy brain.